Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness, joy, and a centered approach to success in life. Seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation, and we're so glad you're here. Let's dive in. So, JJ, one of the things I've been noticing lately is a very specific response in my coaching sessions about control.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I really I wanted to talk about it today because I'm actually curious if the response of trying to control or be controlled or controlling actually has something to do with a response to anxiety.
Yes.
It might not. It might not. So I don't have to have the whole conversation be about that, but I definitely want to talk about the word control and how people are.
So we have to dive in.
Yeah, we have
together
we're in there.
And explore this idea. So just to get the right context for everybody, because when you said like, hey, let's do one about control or controlled versus controlling,
yeah,
I was like a little unsure.
Yeah,
kind of like what that meant. So like the idea of controlled or being controlled, that's like you're saying like I am in control of myself, my thoughts, my actions, my behaviors, that
my
stuff.
emotions, right?
Yeah, I'm in control.
Right.
Being controlling is I'm trying to control someone else
or something else.
Yeah.
And where the slippery slope is with that is a lot of times we tell ourselves that if we are controlled, let's change the word to being really measured.
Yep.
That we will also control the outside, what's happening as a result. Like we can control a situation if we ourselves are measuring our own responses and feelings, etc.
Okay. So like generally controlled is like an internal thing. Controlling is like an external thing.
Yeah. But there's a whole bunch of gray area that it mixes together. And that's the part I want to talk about because you're exactly right. Most people think about it. And just the way you phrase that is exactly perfect. Because what I have been hearing over and over and over, way more than normal in client conversations, is this idea that, something bothers me, but I'm going to control if it actually bothers me. This person is getting on my nerves. I disagree with this person, but I'm going to control how I react and respond.
Okay. Yeah, this is like two separate podcasts almost. So we've got to like make sure we can tease these apart in the right way. Because what you're saying is like, is sometimes I feel out of control, like my emotions are bubbling up and I don't feel like I'm in control of myself.
Right.
So what am I going to do? Right?
Yep.
I'm going to really try to get control of my thoughts and feelings. Well, sometimes that's a real backfire kind of situation.
Yep. Because you know what it does?
What does it do?
It throws you into the actor self.
Oh, yes.
That's what topples you down the stairs into the actor self.
Was that a test to see if I was paying attention this whole time?
And I'm totally excited, though, that you went there because I was like, oh, wait.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Because like now I am right. I'm not letting those emotions flow freely. Right. I'm really trying to like repress them, shove them down, stop them,
turn them into something else.
And just that act isn't particularly healthy.
No. Yeah. Like let's sit here for just a little bit because I'm in agreement with you. This is where I've seen a lot of people struggling, and I mean really struggling, is they are getting tired or they're getting more and more stressed at work or they're feeling more and more pressure, whether it's finances, whether it's my job has suddenly gone back in the office and now there's so much more for me to do. And I feel so anxious about that, right? This whole idea that you can change how you feel simply by telling yourself that you can
Yeah.
isn't real. But that's the whole piece that we think we can control, first of all.
Yeah.
We think we can control our feelings. In other words, manage them into a convenient box that we feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of like where that whole like even self-judgment loop comes in. Like,
Yeah.
I should be happy about going back to work, or I should this, I should that, right?
Yep. Yeah. And what comes of it, real life, like we talk about it a lot within the self-awareness journey context. But what happens in real life, for example, let me use a couple of more specific examples because I think it will help. I have a fairly young leader that I work with, extremely, absolute rock star. And this leader came into the business as an HR professional and had extremely high expectations on what that organization was going to do as a result of them being there. Okay. Like, here are all the goals. We're going to do this. And we're going to do it straight away. So it's been 8 months and the organization is big and it's old and it doesn't move very fast ever for any reason.
Yeah.
For any reason. And the leaders are the same way because they, just culturally, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But this young leader is feeling like, first of all, dumbstruck that they aren't taking the initiatives more seriously. I'm using air quotes because the speed in which they're going after them. And so this HR leader is feeling absolutely devastated. I don't have value here. So now the narrative has turned into, because it isn't exactly what I thought, there's something really, really wrong. I don't belong here. So
are they trying to control everyone else?
Well, I actually think there's two things going on. I think that this person is really a perfectionist and very much used to seeing great results, and being able to control the results through their actions. And now it's much, much larger, right? So it doesn't work quite like that. But the narrative that's going on in their head is, I must be terrible now. I must not be successful. I must not fit here. And so this feeling of uncertainty and this feeling of, I'm not sure I'm doing what I set out to do. I'm going to control how I react now. I'm going to, and so this decision was made about all these different things to do to try to control how they were feeling about the experience, first of all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then no matter what they were doing, they could not get the rest of the group to act in the way they wanted to, which was the controlling part.
Right. Huh. That's funny. I have a very similar thing happening.
You do?
At one of my businesses. Yeah. We've got a couple, again, rock star young leaders, and we do have a bit of an old guard.
Yeah.
There. And, I know you'll be shocked, but, there was points in our company's history where we were pretty relaxed about things.
Oh, no, you weren't. Don't be ridiculous.
It was kind of a real easygoing kind of situation. And our new folks are like,
what?
Like stoked to get after them. Let's go. Like we're doing, like they're just super high energy, high pace, and everyone's got like whiplash. Like, so
yeah.
In both stories though, like really what's happening there is, but like on both sides of the coin there, right? There's someone who, like wants to make, kind of wants to make change, wants to make, or is used to working in a different style, make a difference. And their needs in that way are not getting met. Sort of on the other side, maybe there's some folks that are like, hey, we like it how it is. Why are you trying to make so much change? And their needs aren't getting met.
Yep.
Right? So as soon as you're finding yourself in a situation where maybe there is something going on where you're like, whatever it is, change, external circumstances, or some way that like your needs aren't getting met.
Yeah.
It's real easy to get into like, the way I can fix this is applying more control over the things to get my needs met. Right. Like I need more love. If I can just control these people around me to give me more love, then my needs will be set and I'll be happy.
Right.
But even as I say that, everyone's probably like, well, that's a ridiculous way to go about getting more love.
Right.
Of course.
Well,
right. But we do it all the time.
We do it
so
all
I'm not
the time.
actually judging that. I'm just pulling that out as
humans.
like, we totally do that all the time.
Right. And then we judge ourselves harshly when we know it's not working. So then it totally changes into a different narrative inside of us, and it eats away at our self-esteem. It is 100%. It's like first A, then B, first A, then B, repeat. And it's so hard to see someone. Well, actually, it is kind of hard to see someone, but now I'm getting a little excited when I see that they're there, because they are reaching a stage when they finally start to talk about it with me, or when they have that acknowledgement and they start to verbalize it in a different way externally.
Yeah.
I actually get kind of excited about that, because I think it's coming up for them to review. They're recognizing a pattern enough that they're uncomfortable and they no longer want to be in that, that they start to be able to talk about it and look for something else, look for a different way.
For you, it's like the opening the door to the coaching moment.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And I do get really excited about that, because you can see how different people can be when they're not trying so hard to control anything. They just are simply in the process to see what can happen and be more objective and more curious.
Yeah.
When they see something isn't working, rather than imparting control. Because you know what? Here's the thing too. Like, you want to talk about controlling. We haven't talked as much about that specifically, but whenever somebody tries to tell you what to do or control what you're going to do or say or be, how do you normally respond to that?
Me in particular?
Yeah.
Not well.
Right. Me either. I'm actually a straight up snot, even if it's a good idea. I'm not doing it. This
is why I say I'm like unemployable.
Same.
Because like and we should talk about that specifically, because I think that is interesting. But I do think there is some of this could be a bit like personality type stuff. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, I can it's really hard for me to take any direction at all.
Well, I'm gonna also submit that I don't think it's a personality thing as much as it's a human thing. I think personalities externally respond to it differently, but I think our initial gut reaction. Okay, so take a 2-year-old that is pitching a straight up fit in Target because it's 2:00 in the afternoon and that child needs a nap desperately. Okay, and the mother says, "You are gonna go home and take a nap." What does that 2-year-old do? Right?
Doubles down on the tantrum.
Doubles down. No, I'm not.
Throws a jar of spaghetti sauce on the floor in Target.
You can't make me. You can't make me. Right? And the only thing that is the difference between an adult and a 2-year-old is that we have learned socially we can't throw ourselves on the ground in Target and have it be socially acceptable. That's really the only difference. We still have the exact same feelings. No one likes to be controlled. No one.
But okay. So, people don't like it, but the thing is like, we live in like a society, and we kind of like have this, kind of tribe thing going on. So, like, there is all over the place clearly documented hierarchies, like at work. Like I have a boss, I have subordinates, like work will have a hierarchy structure all the time. There's tons of hierarchy structure in our social lives, whether explicit or not. Right? Sometimes there are kind of hidden hierarchies, but there's social hierarchies. And there is this idea that like some in some situations you're kind of like subordinate, and in some situations you're like more dominant,
Sure.
or at least in like a spot of acting with power,
Right.
right?
Yep. But those are not.
So how do you reconcile that
Yeah.
stuff with not being told what to do?
Yeah, I love that.
Why?
Such a good question. But think about it like this. That's the overt version of we have to live in society with order, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking more about the covert feelings. When you come across somebody that is working so hard to keep themselves controlled, it's a little, actually, it can be very off-putting. You sense somebody is like, wow, they don't feel stable to me. They don't feel, something doesn't feel right. They're just so like, are they going to go off half-cocked at any moment? Like you can sense when people are struggling internally, trying to have their own self-control. And more so, when somebody has that kind of energy and they push it out to someone else, you sense the feelings of that. You can sense when someone is trying to push you in a direction. Totally. And even if they're doing it in a very covert, really highly professional way, or even in a way that they're it's almost, I don't know, it feels planned, or it feels not malicious, but when somebody is trying to push you, even if it's emotionally, into being in their camp because it will make them feel better, you know it all day long. You can feel it.
Yeah, okay. But you just said something that I don't think we touched on at the beginning, is this idea that if you're applying too much self-control to, internally,
yeah,
that people can sense it.
Yes.
And it affects how people interact with you.
Yes. 100%.
Right? So we talked about like kind of acting in some way, right? Like becoming an actor self.
Yep.
And in one way that is kind of controlling, but to me, like when I think about actor self and someone like acting in a different way, it's like you can see it, but like they're carrying on and they're interacting and whatever. There's another kind of self-control where people like actually really tighten up and shut down, and you can't
get in.
Yeah.
Or how about the person that is someone that deals with, I've been using anxiety a lot because I think that is very prevalent today. How about somebody at work that deals with anxiety, and maybe it's not diagnosed, maybe they don't talk about it, but you just know that when things get busy, this person's going to get real anxious, right? Or when things get tight. And this person has a very specific way of acting when they get really, really stressed out. Maybe they become like where they're overacting, telling people what to do. Maybe they're requesting the same thing over and over and over again, and they're just getting all amped up about it. And you can tell that, oh my gosh, this is what she's doing. This is what he's doing because he's stressed out. Every time he's stressed out, he goes into this where everybody else has to jump up and turn on fire like he is. And that is and if you strip it down to all of the human nature pieces, if you strip it down and you take your own emotions out of it and you see that person for who they are, you say to yourself, oh, this person is struggling, and this, I can always tell when they're in a bad spot, and here we go. Right? We sense it. And you know what? We don't like it. We don't like it in other people. And I think it's because we know how that feels. And we don't want that same feeling either. So we almost have a tendency to pull back. And if the person like asks you 5 times for the same deadline, and you already knew the deadline before they asked the first time, there's a little part in a lot of humans where they just go, you know what? Screw it. I'm not doing it. Even if we know it's the right thing, and even if we completely plan on doing it and everything else like that, there is something in there that we just don't like it.
Like you just disengage, right? Like
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got one other thing.
Yeah.
And then I think we should switch to like solutions.
Oh, got it.
The only other thing I was thinking about, like controlled versus being controlling, right? Is like at some point it's just like I think you're kind of getting there. It's just like some people will just kind of say like, I don't know, screw it. I'm just gonna like freewheel it. Like I'm gonna not care right? And I'm going to let myself either be controlled or be controller, whatever. It's just like a Jesus take the wheel kind of moment, right? Like, just going to get jerked around by the universe for a while, right?
Says no one ever.
No, well, I kind of a little bit having fun there, but like, is there a point where people just like kind of give up on either controlling their own emotions or letting other people control and just be like, I don't know, I'm out of energy, I give up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to do whatever.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. And this is going to sound like a super weird example, but I want to mirror this example to what you're asking right now. I remember when I had my first child, okay, and I'm not going to be graphic here, but this is a really interesting thing because I've never, ever forgotten what this nurse said to me. I was in the middle of having this child and I was in a lot of pain. And the nurse said, you need to relax your body. And I was like, are you kidding me, lady? Everything is slamming in reverse and turning inside out.
Yeah.
And I remember arguing with her and telling her, I'm just keeping my muscles in my face tight. Like I was like really trying to hang on in certain spot. And I was trying to convince this extremely seasoned labor and delivery nurse that I was compartmentalizing what parts of my body I was relaxing and what parts I wasn't. And I remember her saying, I see that's what you think you're doing, but that doesn't actually work. And she said it in that way. And I was like, wow, it's the same thing. If we're having emotional times or we're trying to be controlling of our situation, of our own reactions, of other people, it is simply because we are in response to something bigger right underneath that. And so, if you want to talk about how can we stop that, it really is taking our own weight in the moment, saying, oh, okay, I can tell, I feel tense, I'm tight, I'm really measured, I'm using specific words, I always use this phrase, and just being able to recognize where we truly are so that we can say what's behind that. Because it's usually something much greater right underneath that.
Yeah. Yeah. For the record, I'm a huge fan of just letting go and like seeing where things unfold, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, I can think my response to like when I find myself trying to, for me, it's usually like over control myself.
Yeah, that's for me too.
To me, it's like about letting go, like, okay, just like relax, just relax, JJ, like, and just lean into whatever's happening and quit trying to like, be so like you said, be so measured about everything.
And I think, too, most of the time we think we're doing a dandy job of that, and we're really doing an absolutely terrible job of it. We think we are.
That's another ironic thing, isn't it?
Yes.
We think we're so good at it.
Oh, man, I'm just totally controlling my whole narrative, man. Everybody can no one knows how I really feel. It's like, no, everyone knows exactly how you feel, so let's just...
You think you're all calm and cool on the outside, and you're like an absolute wreck inside, and you think... Yeah, you think you're super awesome, and everyone's like, oh, look at JJ's unraveling.
Anyway, I hope this conversation helps someone, because I really feel that people are, when you get to that place when you're trying to control and it just isn't working, it just makes you feel worse. It just makes you feel worse. So whatever that core baseline thing that got you started is making you feel terrible, then trying overly to control a situation or your feelings around it or change your narrative by a controlling, measured way just makes you feel worse.
Yeah,
so much easier to just lean in and go, oh, I'm going to call Uncle. This isn't working right.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well. Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them.
We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring.